He accumulated vast fortunes. He socialized with global leaders. He presented himself as a financier and philanthropist. Yet beneath this carefully constructed image lay a pattern of exploitation that would eventually unravel. Jeffrey Epstein's name became synonymous with privilege, manipulation, and the darkest abuse of power. His connections stretched from Wall Street to the White House, from Silicon Valley to European royalty. But what allowed him to operate for so long? And what secrets died with him? This is the story of Jeffrey Epstein. On a summer day in July 2019, federal agents arrived at Epstein's Upper East Side residence, a palatial mansion valued at $77 million. The property stood as New York's most expensive private home at that time. What investigators discovered inside painted a disturbing picture of its owner's private world. The search revealed thousands of photographs documenting years of criminal behavior. Throughout the residence, investigators encountered explicit artwork, provocative sculptures, and equipment suggesting the property's true purpose. A massage table, various implements, personal lubricants scattered in multiple locations. The bookshelves held telling selections, including a rare first edition of Nabokov's controversial novel and works by the Marquis de Sade. These weren't mere collectors' curiosities. They represented a window into Epstein's mindset. Perhaps most significant were the digital storage devices. Agents recovered numerous CDs and computer hard drives, potential evidence of both his crimes and possible leverage over others. Framed photographs displayed Epstein alongside technology moguls, including Elon Musk and Bill Gates. One particular image showed a currency note bearing Gates's signature and an enigmatic handwritten phrase, "I was wrong." Additional photographs captured Epstein with an array of influential figures: Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince, former President Bill Clinton, President Donald Trump, British entrepreneur Richard Branson. Even Pope John Paul II appeared in some images, alongside musicians, revolutionaries, and prominent intellectuals. The collection represented a catalogue of global power, all connected to a man concealing terrible secrets. Security technology pervaded every space. Cameras were installed throughout, and those were only the obvious ones. According to later testimony from a victim, concealed recording equipment existed in virtually every room, all feeding to a central monitoring station. The implication was chilling. Did Epstein record powerful visitors in compromising circumstances? One journalist later reported that Epstein had privately boasted about maintaining files on influential people's indiscretions. Among the peculiar items, one painting particularly stood out. It depicted former President Clinton wearing a blue dress and red heels, a clear reference to a famous scandal. Later rumors suggested Epstein also possessed a painting of George W. Bush with paper airplanes and collapsed tower blocks, referencing September 11th. Whether true or not, one thing remained clear. Epstein possessed a twisted sense of humor and extraordinary wealth. The Manhattan townhouse represented just one piece of his property portfolio. He controlled a 70-acre private Caribbean island in the US Virgin Islands, known informally as Epstein Island. According to workers and victims, this location hosted gatherings where powerful men mingled with young women. An American investor purchased it in 2023 for $60 million. He maintained an apartment in Paris near the Arc de Triomphe, a Palm Beach estate, another Virgin Islands property called Great St. James, where construction was underway when he was arrested in 2019. In New Mexico, he owned a 7,500-acre ranch he named Zorro. His transportation assets were equally impressive and essential to his operations. He owned 2 Gulfstream jets and a Boeing 727, the latter infamously nicknamed the Lolita Express. Combined, these aircraft were worth approximately $25 to $30 million. He also maintained 2 helicopters and multiple luxury vehicles, 7 Chevrolet Suburbans, a cargo van, a Range Rover, a Mercedes-Benz, a Cadillac Escalade, and a Hummer, among others. Expensive furnishings and valuable artwork filled his properties. One residence was designed by a French decorator known for royal commissions. Everything suggested substantial financial resources, and these were only the visible assets. His precise net worth remained unclear, though it certainly reached hundreds of millions. His attorneys would later claim it exceeded $1 billion. In 2025, Senator Ron Wyden revealed banks had identified over $1.5 billion in suspicious transactions connected to Epstein. The report detailed thousands of wire transfers spanning from the early 2000s through 2019. Money flowed through complex offshore structures, Russian financial institutions, women from Eastern European countries, Israeli technology firms. The paper trail was extensive and intricate. This was a man who began his career as a mathematics instructor, securing a position at an elite institution despite lacking formal credentials. In 2008, following his first arrest on sex-related charges, he received what observers called an extraordinarily lenient arrangement. It wasn't simply favourable, it seemed to contradict fundamental principles of justice. Despite evidence showing he had trafficked numerous victims to his Florida residence, he received only 18 months, and not under normal incarceration conditions. Rather than state prison, he was housed at the Palm Beach County facility. Following his attorney's intervention, he was initially assigned to a separate dormitory, then transferred to the medical wing. The medical wing had never been staffed previously, but personnel were hired specifically for Epstein's stay. A supervising officer ordered his cell door remain unlocked and provided extensive access to a private legal consultation room equipped with television. Many of his victims came from disadvantaged backgrounds, recruited from area high schools with promises of easy earnings. Within months, he secured work release privileges for up to 12 hours daily, 6 days weekly, despite such privileges typically being unavailable for offenders with his charges. Guards assigned to him wore business attire and consistently referred to him as the client rather than inmate. He compensated the sheriff's department approximately $128,000 for specialized security while he worked at a non-profit organization he had established, an office deputies assisted him in locating. Epstein frequently claimed to be devoted to arts and scholarship. He presented himself as engaged in global charitable work. In reality, his foundation served as camouflage, obscuring his actual activities. As one major newspaper would observe, his supposed charity was merely reputation management built on deception. When he did contribute financially, it served selfish purposes, and he often exaggerated donation amounts. During work release periods, deputies staffed the reception area while he conducted private meetings behind closed doors. Records of these visitors were subsequently destroyed. Deputies received instructions to greet him upon arrival, and he was permitted to visit his Palm Beach residence at least 9 times. This represented more than rule-bending, it was complete abandonment of protocol. He employed his personal driver, accumulated dozens of outside appointments, and made at least 69 medical visits in 6 months. He received VIP treatment, and Florida was just one location where he brought victims. Yet, in a pattern that would repeat, when investigators searched the property, computer equipment and storage drives had vanished. An investigator later stated in a documentary that Epstein, or someone protecting him, had clearly received advance warning and removed the technology. The 2008 arrangement happened because the federal prosecutor, Alexander Acosta, made a controversial decision. Acosta later became Labor Secretary under President Trump, but resigned in 2019 when Epstein's case resurfaced. Acosta claimed he was told Epstein belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone. He never clarified what this meant or who told him. Acosta has denied granting special treatment, insisting the agreement was appropriate given the evidence available at that time. Yet many found his explanation inadequate. Years passed. Epstein continued his lifestyle largely undisturbed. Then in 2019, investigative journalism brought renewed attention. The Miami Herald published a comprehensive series detailing how the 2008 arrangement had failed victims. Public outrage mounted. Federal prosecutors in New York filed new charges. Epstein was arrested arriving from Paris on his private aircraft. This time, there would be no work release, no unlocked cells, no special privileges. He was held at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Manhattan, a facility known for harsh conditions. Just over 1 month later, on August 10, 2019, guards found him unresponsive in his cell. He was pronounced dead at a local hospital. The medical examiner ruled it suicide by hanging, but the circumstances immediately sparked questions and conspiracy theories. How could someone so high profile, supposedly on suicide watch, die in federal custody? Why were guards allegedly sleeping? Why did cameras reportedly malfunction? The official explanation satisfied few people. His death meant dozens of victims would never see him face trial. It meant potential co-conspirators might never be exposed. It meant secrets might remain buried forever. But one person close to him did face justice. Ghislaine Maxwell, British socialite and Epstein's longtime associate, was arrested in July 2020. Prosecutors accused her of recruiting and grooming underage girls for Epstein's abuse. In December 2021, she was convicted on 5 of 6 counts, including sex trafficking of minors. She received a 20-year sentence. Throughout her trial, she maintained she was a scapegoat, that she had no knowledge of Epstein's crimes. Victims disagreed. They described her as an active participant who made them feel safe before delivering them to Epstein. She was the friendly face that lured them in. She was the enforcer who threatened them into silence. Maxwell's family background added another layer to the story. Her father, Robert Maxwell, was a British media magnate who died under mysterious circumstances in 1991, falling from his yacht near the Canary Islands. Some called it suicide. Others suggested murder, with theories pointing to intelligence agencies. Robert Maxwell had extensive connections to Israeli intelligence, according to multiple sources. Some researchers have suggested Ghislaine inherited more than just wealth from her father. Did the Maxwell family's intelligence connections extend to Jeffrey Epstein? It's a question that refuses to disappear. Epstein's own background remains murky. He grew up in Brooklyn, attended Cooper Union and NYU, but never graduated. He taught mathematics at the Dalton School, a prestigious Manhattan institution, despite lacking a degree. The school's headmaster who hired him later resigned under pressure. One of Epstein's students at Dalton was the son of Bear Stearns executive Ace Greenberg. In 1976, Epstein joined Bear Stearns as a junior assistant. Within 4 years, he became a limited partner. In 1981, he left to establish his own financial management firm, reportedly serving only billionaire clients. Yet details about his actual business operations remained vague. He claimed to manage money for the ultra-wealthy, but few clients were ever publicly identified. One confirmed client was retail magnate Leslie Wexner, founder of Victoria's Secret parent company, L Brands. Wexner granted Epstein extraordinary power of attorney over his finances. Epstein managed Wexner's fortune, lived in a Manhattan mansion Wexner owned, and eventually acquired the property through unclear circumstances. In 2020, Wexner claimed Epstein had misappropriated vast sums from him. Their relationship, which lasted decades, ended only after Epstein's 2008 conviction. Wexner has stated he deeply regrets his association with Epstein and had no knowledge of his crimes. Still, questions linger about how someone could grant such extensive financial control without closer oversight. Epstein cultivated relationships with academics and scientists, donating to research institutions and hosting conferences. He funded a program at Harvard, gave money to MIT, and supported various scientific endeavors. He surrounded himself with Nobel laureates and cutting-edge researchers. Some saw him as a patron of knowledge, others believed he was purchasing legitimacy and access. Several institutions later returned donations or faced criticism for accepting his money. His social circle included an astounding array of prominent figures. He knew Prince Andrew, Duke of York, who would later face allegations related to Epstein's activities. A photograph showed Andrew with his arm around Virginia Giuffre, one of Epstein's accusers, with Maxwell visible in the background. Andrew claimed no recollection of meeting Giuffre and denied her allegations. In 2022, he settled a civil lawsuit with her, admitting no liability, but expressing regret for his association with Epstein. Former President Bill Clinton flew on Epstein's aircraft multiple times. Flight logs documented these trips, though exact numbers remain disputed. Clinton's spokesperson stated he took 4 trips on Epstein's plane in 2002 and 2003 for Clinton Foundation work. Other records suggested more frequent travel. Clinton has consistently denied visiting Epstein's island and stated he knew nothing about Epstein's crimes until the media reports. No evidence has emerged linking Clinton to any criminal activity. Donald Trump knew Epstein socially in the 1990s and early 2000s. Photographs and videos show them together at parties. In a 2002 magazine profile, Trump called Epstein a terrific guy and noted he liked women on the younger side. Trump later distanced himself from Epstein, claiming they had a falling out and hadn't spoken in 15 years before Epstein's arrest. Trump has denied any involvement in Epstein's activities and stated he banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago. Again, no evidence connects Trump to crimes. Author Michael Wolff claimed in interviews that Epstein told him he was Trump's closest friend for a decade and called him the Trumpster. Trump dismissed these claims as false. Wolff said he recorded extensive conversations with Epstein and saw compromising materials, but he hasn't released recordings, and no such materials have surfaced publicly. Wolff's credibility has been questioned due to past factual errors in his work. The point isn't that these associations prove guilt. Many successful people knew Epstein socially or professionally without any involvement in his crimes. But Epstein clearly collected powerful contacts the way others collect rare objects. One particular favourite was Bill Clinton. Epstein once called him the world's greatest politician. Clinton reciprocated, describing Epstein through a spokesperson as a highly successful financier and committed philanthropist. As previously mentioned, they travel to Africa together on trips described as humanitarian work for the Clinton Foundation, focusing on HIV programs and poverty relief. Clinton said through representatives that he appreciated Epstein's insights and generosity. If accurate, this suggests Epstein presented a very different persona to Clinton than he showed his victims. Had Epstein deceived Clinton? Or was there more to the relationship? In 2019, Clinton stated he knew nothing about Epstein's crimes. Media reported Clinton flew on Epstein's jet as many as 26 times across multiple trips, sometimes without Secret Service protection on certain flight segments. It's also been alleged Clinton took Epstein's helicopter to St. Thomas. Clinton denied visiting the island, contradicting testimony from Virginia Giuffre, who has since passed away. To date, no physical evidence links either Trump or Clinton to criminal activity. Additionally, Ghislaine Maxwell reportedly stated in released transcripts that no illegal activity occurred involving Trump or Clinton. Whatever the complete truth, available facts show Epstein moved among extraordinarily powerful circles. In New York, he frequently hosted afternoon gatherings for VIP guests. Staff in formal attire guided visitors past bizarre artwork and even a display of prosthetic eyes before leading them to the so-called leather room. There, animal print chairs faced a painting of an exotic woman with opium and a lion skin. None of his meetings appeared in his emails. He rarely used email, once saying he preferred hearing voices and seeing faces during interactions. He seldom dined publicly with people, calling it comparable to eating on the subway. People who knew him described him as pathologically secretive. Even in phone directories, he used false names. He was described as an iceberg, with most of his reality hidden beneath the surface. He wanted others to view him as mysterious, when reality was more straightforward. He was a criminal hiding in plain sight. He played the enigma, manipulating people like chess pieces. Even as investigations closed in, his ego convinced him he remained ahead of everyone. As for Ghislaine Maxwell, the companion to his operation, no one fully understood their relationship. She was described as his soulmate, yet they didn't cohabitate. She was often intimate with him, yet he constantly surrounded himself with other women. Oxford-educated, she was considered witty and articulate. If he was the quiet manipulator running operations, she was the public relations face. She also provided connections to British elite circles, but the network extended far beyond. Epstein had ties to Democratic Senate Majority Leader George Mitchell, who once called him a friend and supporter. He met repeatedly with Bill Gates, including after his initial conviction. He met with former CIA Director William Burns. He counted Nobel Prize recipients Gerald Edelman and Murray Gell-Mann among his acquaintances. He was friendly with Harvard's former president. He moved in circles with Woody Allen, Michael Jackson, and David Copperfield. It's difficult to determine who participated in Epstein's activities and who simply appeared in his contact book. Whether they participated or not, anyone around Epstein could observe he was constantly accompanied by women. One acquaintance recalled many seemed foreign and dressed unusually. At one event Maxwell organised for Prince Andrew, a guest later expressed shock at the number of strangely dressed Russian models present. To those who suspected wrongdoing, he appeared untouchable. His message to investigating journalists was stark. When journalist Vicky Ward interviewed 3 of Epstein's victims for a magazine article, he told her threateningly that her investigation made him unhappy. He subsequently attacked her professional integrity, even sending fabricated letters, allegedly from Ward's sources, to her editor. Maxwell delivered similar threats to girls and women considering speaking publicly. One woman whose complaints about what happened to her and her sister were ignored by law enforcement said Maxwell warned her that her life would be destroyed. She relocated multiple times, yet Maxwell somehow located her repeatedly, calling her at home and making clear they knew her whereabouts. In 2025, this victim sued the Justice Department, US Attorney's offices, and FBI for negligence in failing to protect her and her sister. She is the witness who said Epstein once showed her the surveillance room in his New York residence, monitors covering every room, the bedrooms, the bathrooms, the entire house. So who was Jeffrey Epstein really? Ari Ben-Menashe is a former arms dealer and ex-Israeli military intelligence officer who later became a whistleblower, exposing covert geopolitical operations. He has claimed Epstein worked for Mossad, the same agency he alleges killed Robert Maxwell. He stated Epstein was intelligence, running a classic honey trap operation, and Mossad was involved. In Ben-Menashe's account, Epstein's entire life was carefully constructed to compromise powerful individuals, with the evidence archived by Mossad. If accurate, this would devastate countless careers and public trust itself. Until concrete evidence appears, it's impossible to confirm if Epstein was an intelligence asset. Regarding his alleged clients, more proof remains necessary. After all, motivations exist for people to make false accusations against others. As for the supposed client list, Ghislaine Maxwell has firmly stated it doesn't exist. She also claimed no videos exist that could be used for blackmail from Epstein's monitored properties. However, she isn't widely regarded as credible by the public. Her assertion that sexually inappropriate contact between Epstein's guests and in-house staff never occurred contradicts victims and witnesses. What we can confirm is that he began as a working-class youth obsessed with wealth and became a serial abuser of girls and young women. The overlap between Epstein's life and covert geopolitics and men whose decisions shape global events is undeniable. But publicly available records still show no confirmed proof he operated as a blackmailer for any intelligence service, at least, not yet. The truth may exist somewhere, but it could be so explosive that even partial exposure could ignite consequences difficult to contain. For that reason, if the theories hold any validity, full disclosure seems highly unlikely. Now that you understand who Jeffrey Epstein was, the larger mystery persists. Why can't we access the complete truth? Some answers may never emerge. Some secrets may have died with him in that Manhattan jail cell, and some powerful people may prefer it stays that way.